Okay, welcome everybody. This is the third episode of Iguchi Natural Health webinar series. My name is Kohei Iguchi, and I'm a qualified naturopath and medical herbalist here in New Zealand. And I've been practicing for about 7 years now, specializing particularly in skin health like eczema, psoriasis, acne, and things like that. Now, today I have a very special guest today. I'll be interviewing Tanel from Estonia. And I say he's a very special guest because there's an interesting story behind this. So we actually, I'm not sure if anybody has seen my video on YouTube. It's around eczema and how to treat it naturally. And this video has, I don't know how, but it has gone completely viral. And it has reached many people all over the world. And Tanel got in touch with me recently. And I just saw this title on the email saying eczema healing success story. And I thought, well, that sounds very interesting. And I clicked on it, and yeah, Tanel was explaining how he saw my video as along with other practitioners' videos and also their information, and utilize the research that he had done on eczema and healed his eczema to a 95% success rate, I suppose. You're looking very well at the moment. And he had mentioned my name on there because I suppose my video came sort of useful for your success and in your healing of eczema. So I thought it would be fantastic to just interview you today because I always like to hear about success stories. And also I feel that your video that you created on YouTube about your success story just really spoke to me because it was very comprehensive. It was very informative. And I feel like you had a message to give to people, which I felt it needed to be shared. And, you know, this webinar series that we're doing here, it's all about getting the information out there. It's educating the community so that we can really promote preventative medicine. So here we are today, interviewing you from New Zealand to you in Estonia. It's fantastic to have you here. And I just sort of wanted to introduce you briefly, but yeah, I guess I'll let you introduce yourself now and yeah, just let people know who you are and what you do.
Right, that was a great overview and absolutely correct. Your eczema seminar was very helpful for me. So my name is Tanel-Enn, 24 years old, and I'm from Estonia. So it's afternoon here and it's evening over there. Yes. Here we are. So what happened was I was working and I was doing the research for my skin, right? Still in pain, still in the eczema hell, completely red, covered. And I was just listening to hours of information from different people, also from just medical doctors, but then people who have healed themselves, and all of them had different stories. Some people went vegan, some people cut out all plants, some people used Vaseline, and actually some people have used corticosteroids without having adverse side effects. And then there's people who had, just like me, using steroids and it just going worse and worse. So I was listening, but at some point, yeah, I just stumbled upon this one. And I was actually working and I had to stop working because I just wanted to see the slides at the same time. And it was less than an hour, but it had so much information there. And coming from someone who had worse eczema than me and healed it for good. I don't want to say cured, but healed it for good. It's a different way of saying it. And yeah, it was so inspiring and it had so many different puzzle pieces put together. very convincing. So yeah, I was putting all this information together for myself, filtering out what is not relevant, doesn't make sense, stuff that does. And I got quite a lot of points there. I was just making this master plan basically. And that was one of the last videos after the research that really pulled all the things together into one string or a mandala. So
Yeah.
after that, I just started with fasting and all these different things that we can talk about later. Oh.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, you know, I think your video inspired me as well. So I suppose we're just sort of inspiring each other, and hopefully we can inspire other people through this video as well. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about the extent of your eczema when it was at its worst.
Right. So I didn't have eczema before I went vegan. So I only had some dry patches of skin when I was little. And yeah, at some point I just started getting these patches, but I sort of ignored them or maybe put some lotion on them. It were not very aggressive. I could still live my life and do all the things I wanted to do with no problems. But yeah, it started getting worse. And it got really bad, the worst after trying out different corticosteroids. So going to different dermatologists, just the normal way of going to the skin doctor, and they would prescribe me this corticosteroids and different ones. So in my video, I brought some of them out. There was Elidel, and well, it doesn't really matter. But anyways, that took care of it completely. And I was so happy, like, this is so fast, this is great. And for some people, I've heard that actually that just stays like that. It's like their body just needed some time to build up some cells, and it doesn't really start deteriorating after that. But in my case, yeah, it all went super nice and smooth and strong as well. But then it came back like 10 times worse. And later I found out about this red skin syndrome, TSW, topical steroid withdrawal. And yeah, I understood what's going on. Yeah, and how it looked like. Well, it was mostly my hands. I can show some pictures. I'm going to send you some pictures. We can show them on the screen.
Sounds
so
good.
it was my hands were covered on the top. The worst places were my inner elbows, which is a typical place for eczema, right? But luckily I didn't have anything on my palms, and I know people who have them on the palms, and that can be really, really limiting. So I was lucky in that sense. But then I got some under my eyes, around the eyes, the whole neck. Yeah, and in the back of my knees, for example, and my shoulders. So yeah, it was basically never really healed. It didn't really fluctuate. I know some people have this sort of thing that this sort of effect with seasons. So the more sunlight they have, especially here in the north in Estonia, usually when the autumn comes, some people start getting some dry patches of skin, especially on the hands. But in my case, it didn't really matter what season it was. The whole 3 years straight, it was just constant eczema. And it would have this sort of rhythm of wet eczema, so oozing and very painful in that sense, and itchy in a wet way. And then it would transition into this flaky, very rigid sort of almost plasticky skin that would be even more itchy, and it would just continue and continue and continue. Yeah, after the corticosteroid creams, of course, I tried many different paths. I started well, so I was still vegan, right? So I started to adjust certain things in my diet. But it didn't really work. Right. So basically that's how it was. And it was the worst at nighttime, because I couldn't control my scratching, and I could sort of push my willpower during the daytime to not scratch, to just meditate, to just, you know, have this warrior mindset. But at night, no control. I would just wake up already completely bloody. And yeah, it was really ugly.
So I'm guessing you lost quite a bit of sleep during that time, and then it just becomes a vicious cycle, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. It's a witch's circle, like a downward spiral. really scary stuff. If you really look into it, like it's not just a skin disease, right? We both know this. It's a systematic sort of illness that manifests on the skin later. And there's so many different things involved with hormones and with nutrition and with the lymphatic system, and because it's the biggest organ, right? And it's always bringing out toxins, and if you have too many, then your skin gets to overload the whole work of bringing out the toxins. It's really scary if you look at it, what the body has to go through, and especially after 3 years of constantly having to build up cells and then just getting deteriorated instantly. I would imagine how my body had to really tap into the reserves, especially on a vegan diet, because it didn't get any bioavailable proteins and fat soluble vitamins. It was just plants, bad quality protein, and fats that are actually oils, not fats.
So yeah. For you, it was actually beneficial for you to come off that veganism and start incorporating more proteins and things like that in your diet. Is that right?
Right. It was the first phase would just be trying to tweak the vegan diet in different ways. Even did some juice fastings, huge sugar overloads, but it made sense then. At some point I was there was a point of having to choose, basically, do you want to live or do you want to just, I don't know, try to push this thing that seems so nice and so ethical and so healthy, which is not healthy. I became sick, but I couldn't see it. That's a completely different topic. This is why I made 2 videos, one about why I'm not vegan anymore and why I eat primarily animal foods now, also from an ethical standpoint, not only the health, and then the second one going more into detail with the eczema. But in my case, it was induced by eczema, and the only thing that really helped me get out of it was not even the omnivore approach. It was just cutting out the plants and bringing in, introducing the essential foods, the easy to digest, high quality traditional animal foods. So the opposite. So that's what happened. The definition or the dynamic of elimination diet used to mean you eliminate the thing that is the trigger. But in this case, it was, okay, I'm trying to eliminate, I was still vegan, trying to eliminate all these things, but I didn't have a safe island. I didn't have the essential foods that are safe, definitely. And then, trying out all the rest that are not that essential. Didn't have that island. So I just realized there's no plant food that I can rely on right now. And I should just ditch all of it. And it felt, there's a much more deeper psychological part of it, I guess. It was creating a new identity in a way as well, maybe.
Yeah. And
it went.
Yeah, I think that word identity is very important. And this is something that you emphasized in your video quite a bit, is that individuality of your treatment for yourself, because everybody's different. And this is also something that I always tell my patients as well, is that, the causes and the triggers of eczema for every person is slightly different, or it could be majorly different. And so for you, coming off that veganism and having more of those animal proteins that are ethically sourced as well, has worked for you very nicely. But one thing that I had really noticed in your video was you kept saying, like, but this is what worked for me. But it may not work for you, and do your own research. And that's one of the things that I really loved about your video. So for everybody who's watching this, just make sure you stay till the end, because I'm going to put the links for those 2 videos that Tanel has mentioned just before as well. Now, coming into this sort of natural way of healing, what was your turning point? Where was that point where it made you go, right, like, I don't want to use the steroid creams anymore. I want to do this all naturally, and I want to do it right. And when was that turning point for you?
Well, I didn't see any long-lasting results from the steroids. and it made things worse. I'm quite aware of how the pharmaceutical industry, I mean, it used to be different, right? Especially in China, it used to be that the doctor got more pay according to the numbers of patients he healed that don't return to the cabinet, right?
Yeah.
And now it's the opposite, right? The more patients you have, the more income you have. So it's very simple logic, right? I mean, I suppose it really boils down to your values and what you trust. And in my case, I trust something as divine as your body and knowledge coming from ancestral ways of healing,
yes,
which has always, worked. So I wouldn't exclude modern medicine. I mean, it's great. It really boils down to much more fundamental questions of what it means to be human, because we have this part of the animal, the physical, the one that is connected to this animal kingdom, this planet, and our bodies are mostly that. But then what also makes us human is the inventiveness, the way that we can use science to transcend nature, which can also be great sometimes. Like, for example, with this call right now, what we're doing is using that part of what it means to be human. But for healing the skin, healing your body, I just had to sort of cut that inventiveness out, this alien part of what makes us human, and just tap into, okay, I'm an animal on this planet. What would an animal do? The animal fasts. When animals are sick, they don't eat. So I was like, I'm going to be an animal now. In a way, yeah, I meant just more physical, in the physical realm. I started fasting, and then I saw that, well, animals eat animals. So I'm going to try that out now.
Yeah.
The rest, it was like a snowball. It kept on going, and maybe that created a strong connection to also being interested in the hormonal health. Getting enough sunlight in the afternoon so you sleep better in the evening, playing with the hormones, not eating sugar because you know what sugar does. It's a seasonal thing that we would have historically, right? It's a seasonal produce. We would have some fruit, but usually we would still be eating. Well, there's different theories about it, of course, but that's what I tapped into it. And I would just trust nature, trust my body more, and not depend on these sort of pills that suppress the outer manifestations on the skin. Just had to really tap into what's actually happening and just ignore the skin for a while, actually, because as we know, the skin is a slow biomarker, a slow signal from the body. It's not a skin disease, it's a systematic sort of inflammation and autoimmune and hypersensitivity sort of reactive condition. So the way to heal that would be actually to see your digestion, hormonal health, and trying to see why you're full of toxins in the first place. In my case, it wasn't processed food because I was vegan in a way that I would eat enough and varied and home cooked meals. So it didn't make sense to me that people would say you have to detox, because why would I be toxic? I wouldn't even eat sugar at some point. Sure, I had carbohydrates, but I wouldn't buy any tomato sauce with the ingredient sugar listed there. But then I found out, there's all these things like oxalates and phytic acid and different anti-nutrients in plants. And that started to make sense real fast. So eliminating all of those, just the ultimate elimination diet, eliminating all anti-nutrients, because animal foods don't really have that many. Most allergies come from plant kingdoms. I know that a lot of people have negative reactions to milk, but it's usually because of pasteurized milk. I know that in New Zealand, I think it's illegal to have raw milk. Is it true?
Actually,
I think it's illegal in Australia. I'm not sure about the kiwis.
Yeah, I think it's changed recently. No, we still get raw milk. Yeah, you can still get raw milk. Yeah.
Right, and same with the eggs, of course. High quality eggs are completely different than the conventional ones. At least in my case, I can see completely different foods for me.
Yeah.
In my case.
Well, I mean, this is why I love sort of, well, this is the first time talking to you, but I love the way you articulate things, because you're quite right in the sense that you really need to dig deep, and
Right.
you really need to see the basic human sort of function and start from there. And that's how you get how you go through the healing process, because that's when you start to really look at yourself and what suits you as a human, you know. And I think that's exactly what you did, and that's why it worked so well for you. And you pretty
But
much
also
managed to
the
do it yourself.
word, yeah. Well, not myself. I needed a guide. Needed many guidances, and you were one of the sources.
Yeah, but you did
Uh,
very
but
well on your own. You did very well. Yeah.
but also the word natural can also be so misleading, or like maybe not misleading, but just there's different definitions of or looking at it.
Mm.
People like to paint a pretty picture of what it means to be natural.
Mm.
Sometimes, like essential oils, I like them, but it's quite unnatural, the process of gathering tons of, sure, the raw material is natural, but
Mm.
you wouldn't find something like this in nature. It's very potent stuff. It's actual medicine.
Correct. Yes.
That's also the inventiveness part of us. It's not the animalistic natural part, and the natural healing part might not be that pretty in nature, you know. Yeah, again, animals eating animals and things like that.
No, that's yeah, it's very interesting to look at that that way, about natural products. And yeah, I always also cringe when people say, well, it's natural, so it's safe.
Yeah.
Not true. You can have too much broccoli. Trust me on this.
Especially raw.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, you were going through these stages of figuring out what suits you and what doesn't, and what's working for you and what's not. What were some of the major challenges you faced during this process?
Maybe the challenge was just the isolation, the need for isolation to do all of this. Because I really needed to cut myself off, and this was before the quarantine and lockdowns.
Yeah.
So I was already a master of
Yeah,
self-isolation by that time.
you locked down yourself before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, half a year before, so from August.
That's a long lockdown for you.
That's I was like, oh, I'm healed now. I can go and socialize. Hit with the lockdown.
Yeah.
You got to continue.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the challenge.
Yeah, that must have been quite hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I would say to a person who is in eczema hell right now is to really remember and embrace the pain and just bathe in the discomfort. And that's what I had to do as well, to really be aware of where I'm at right now, and no one is helping me. So why should I just still be social with everybody and try to, you know, it's hard to describe, I guess. Self-isolation just gave me the time to just really realize where I'm at, and that it's really on me, and I just need to take responsibility for myself. Just isolate for a while. Yeah.
You actually,
of course, that's not sustainable long time.
No, I mean, obviously, as humans, we are social beings. But you know, during
lone wolves always die.
Yeah, yeah. And look, you know, I always have this conversation with my patients as well, because restrictive diet always restricts some level of socialism, right? So
yeah,
I would say that for, you know, certain amount of time, you kind of need to be selfish to heal your body. Yeah.
Right, especially coming from veganism, selfishness is really the key point, the key word here, because I realized that the only way I can heal myself is to be willing to be seen as a selfish person, especially by the friends I was surrounded with, because I was in, you know, veganism, and they wouldn't understand what I'm going through. They would say like, yeah, put some lotion on it and eat some, you know, coconut oil and things like that. Say, no, this is not working for me, and going into in self-isolation. I just had to create a new identity in that sense.
Yes.
To just allow myself to be seen as selfish, not care about it. And yeah, it gave me much more than just a healthy skin.
Yeah.
Like healthy selfishness is very important.
That's very good. So currently, I mean, you're looking great over Zoom at the moment. But yeah, what's your skin like? So you said about 95% eczema free. So where are some areas you might get it? Like when do you notice it? If it does flare up, you know, like what's the nature of your skin at the moment?
Right. So I'm trying to also gain more weight. And this is why I'm bringing in more carbohydrates and sugars. But while I'm doing that, the 5% keeps fluctuating between 5%, 7%, 5%, and sometimes it's 98%. Really good skin. Now lately, I've been just eating a lot of carbs, even sometimes pizza, just to like, yeah, I know that I can gain more weight. But then I keep forgetting, wait, priorities. You gotta keep your skin healthy. So, yeah, I've been indulging in those junk foods, and when that happens, I mean, I have solidified many results already. I'm not going to flare up when I do this, but if I keep doing this every week, then I'm going to start seeing some more flaking, some more redness, things like this. Especially under my right eye. This is the most reddish place on my whole body.
Right.
When it comes right here. And I can see that in my mirror, and that's like, all right, you've been eating too many things that you shouldn't be eating.
Yes.
That,
yes.
and also other people's hair actually also has some, I'm not sure if that's allergy, but it leaves this itchy layer. And every time I cut someone's hair, for example, my brother's or someone, then yeah, not a good reaction to that.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, see, I want everybody to sort of listen in on this part that we just discussed about. It's a lot of people come to see me for curing eczema. And I always tell them cure is a very strong word. Cure usually means that you get rid of it and it goes away completely and it never comes back. That's almost never the case because you know, your body has chosen to go down this pathway to try and resolve something, right? Because there's a disconnect in the body, there's a dysfunction in the body, and your body has naturally chosen to create eczema on the skin, right? As a result of it. So it always will have that tendency to go down that same path because it has gone down that path before, right? And so I always say to my patients, look, what we're trying to do is to heal the body so that you can control your eczema, so that you have power over it and not it have power over you. So, you know, when you're covered in eczema and you don't know what to do and you're completely out of ideas, that's when it has control over you, right? You're letting it affect you mentally, physically, emotionally, right? But switching that over so that, like you said, you know, you can sort of indulge in some of these junk foods every now and then, and you know the consequences. So you can go, all right, you know, I'm seeing a bit of redness in my eye. I need to dial it back. That is control, right? You're saying, eczema, I see you. I see what you're trying to tell me, and you're telling me that I'm not behaving myself. So I need to bring myself back into, you know, that same pattern, which has worked for me before. Same for me as well. Like I get a little bit of eczema still on my fingers, right? And that sort of goes up and down. And I know right now, the place that I'm staying at environmentally, like it's not particularly great for my skin. Especially if I'm not looking after myself. So if I'm socially having some alcohol, or if I have desserts every now and then, you know, that's going to worsen things. So I know that when it starts to appear on my hands, it's just like, it's a warning sign that my body has kindly given me so that I can go, oh, thanks, buddy. I'll get back to what I need to do. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
love that approach. It's a conversation with the body instead of attacking or having a battle with this demon called eczema.
yes, it's
It's
not.
a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's not the evil. It's not something that shouldn't be there. It's actually your body signaling to you, trying to say, hey, you kind of need to look after me right now. And it's a much better way of looking at it, because when you look at it as something that it shouldn't be there, and it's affecting you so negatively, you it's creating a vicious cycle there as well, because you feel bad about it. Then you're creating stress responses, which is also going
Yeah.
to add to the eczema. So different ways of viewing the eczema is also very important, I think. Okay, so
And
it
it keeps
seems
reflecting in other areas of life as well. Like, instead of focusing on things that you're finding not pleasing and not something you want, the more you focus on that, the more you'll be creating that.
absolutely,
And the more
absolutely.
you focus on solutions and, like, not just naive optimism, but just like real empowerment.
Empowerment, that's the word. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, okay, so to sort of summarize the things that you've mentioned in your videos, as well as what we spoke about today, what are some of the key messages or advice that you'd like to give people? Just simple, easy messages to give to people.
Right. Start with the daily diary. That's the first thing to do
Mm.
before even trying all these things. Because if you're going to try all these things, it's just going to dissolve and mislead and just be very confusing. You won't have a grip on it. You won't have a grid over it or a workspace. Same way, like you have a project, you need to have a desk for it, basically. If you don't have the desk, it's already, with a few papers and a few books, it's already a huge mess. So start with the daily diary. Just don't get stuck in the research mode. At first, just look at where you're at. And if you're at eczema hell, it's a good thing to make photos and also write up what you feel, to really remember the pain, to harness the energy of this discomfort, and actually transform that into the motivation, into the determination, the focus, and consistency. Because consistency is super important when you try out elimination diet, when you try out different products. You have to give it enough time, because the skin, as we said, is a slow response from the body. You need to really take control in the sense that, you have the determination. So it's a good idea to just make pictures, already make it your story, already see that you're on your way to something else, and it's a good idea to just document where you're at right now. And then, even if you keep eating exactly the way you're eating, you're just writing up. I remember one of the first things I wrote up was in Spain, in south of Spain, in August, and I was just sitting. Well, I was sitting on the toilet, and I was just, okay, I'm gonna start writing it now, because I remembered I wanted to do this, and I was putting it off for a long time. I'm actually gonna do it. I took my phone out and just started writing. I just ate a lot of fruit. I ate some apples without peeling them. And I remember the apples really aggravating my stomach. I was just sitting there like, whoa, this is happening. And before grabbing the phone, I wasn't thinking, like, what is happening where I'm sitting right now? And I'm writing it. Okay, this is happening right now. I'm writing this up. That was the first thing I started doing. Like, okay, I'm not going to eat apples. Let's see. And that just led me on straight on the path to healing. Just the daily
Wow.
diary. That's the first thing to do.
On the toilet, even. That's a powerful message right there.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that. I haven't told anyone about this yet.
Yes. You did wash your hands after though.
Yes, I did. Of course. And I wash the phone. I have the spray for it.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah, no, I absolutely love symptom diaries. They're very important and could be a much more powerful tool than things like intolerance tests out there. Elimination diet, and also keeping a good record of what you're doing and what you're eating, what you're exposed to is just one of the most vital things you can do for eczema. So I absolutely agree with that. Any other big advice to give people?
Watch Kohei Iguchi's eczema seminar. There's a lot of information there.
I feel like I need to update that video now. It was a long time ago that I put that up. I haven't even watched it myself for a long time, so I can't even
Truth
remember
doesn't
some of
have
the
an
things I've said.
expiration date.
Yeah. You got me there. Oh, like yeah, like I also wanted to ask, what was your biggest reason for creating your video that you created?
Well, after having this huge period of intense research, I felt like there's so much value that I've distilled, and I just I had it in me. And when someone started asking something about it, I would just keep going on and finding the information again from my memory, trying to put it together. It was sort of it was tiring after a while. So it was a good idea to just make a video that I could just send a link about. And of course, it's about giving back, right? There's people who made videos just like you, uploaded them, and I got so much from it. So it just makes sense to just give it on to some other people.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so that was one. And of course, yeah, there was the vegan part that I really wanted to get into because, well, I wouldn't call myself an anti-vegan, but I'm really supportive of high quality animal foods. And I can see that a lot of propaganda is being pushed right now about plants being super good and animal products being the devil. And well, I'm an example of a young person who fell for that trap, that illusion, and healed myself going the opposite way. It's worth sharing these sort of things because it's a direct experience from a person. You can't deny it, basically. You can't just falsify that, just like a nutritional study that you can just buy off to push your agenda. You cannot buy this thing off if you're honest, of course. There's sort of integrity there, and I believe in people more than ideology, and a person's experience more than a dogmatic approach to eating or living. So I had to make that video already. And while I'm talking about the eczema, I might as well make the eczema video. This is why I did it, to inspire others the way that I got inspired. I think it's a beautiful thing.
That's fantastic. It really came through in your video that you just really wanted to share the information that you came across and the wisdom that you sort of absorbed like a sponge. And it's fantastic to have people like you sharing these kind of videos with people, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you today, so that I can get more people watching and sharing your video, as well as this video that we just created, talking about
and the seminar one.
Yes.
As I said, it's being shared in this Facebook group. There's 40,000 people in this eczema support group on Facebook, and I still see this video link getting popped up because there's hundreds of posts every day. keeps on coming up like, oh, look at this. Steroids are not the answer. And then the next post would be, someone saying that Vaseline is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So many different people there. It's I'm not going to stick there for a long time. It's really tiring after a while.
Well, lots of people have different opinions, and it's a good thing, because
it is. And sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to add that while making the videos, I also like the idea that this will create a conversation in the comments, also both about veganism and health, but also about eczema.
Yes.
In the comments, people would talk about, oh, interesting, that worked for you, but for me it was the opposite. And just like you said, okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, not at all. Thank you for interrupting. That was beautifully put. So, look, I just wanted to say thank you for today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. and hopefully we can stay connected somewhat, just sort of updating each other on some of the things that we're doing. But and who knows, potentially I might interview you again for something else. But yeah, you never know. I'm always curious and wanting to talk to other people about these kind of things. So again, thank you so much for your time today. And I will be sure to put the links to the 2 videos that you've created, so that we can get more people sharing and liking. This is the power of social media. It's great when it's being used for the right things. So yeah, thank you. And hopefully we'll
Thank you so much as well
catch you again.
for the guidance, for this, for everything.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. All right, so for everybody who was listening, thank you for joining us, and we will be coming up with the episode 4. Next, I'll be interviewing a chiropractor. So those of you who don't know much about chiropractics and what they do and how they can help with supporting your health, please tune in next time. But until then...
Oh, I would love to see that one.
Oh, yes. Do join us.
Yes,
all right.
I will. I'll check that out.
All right. Thanks very much. And we'll catch you guys next time.